A few stones in the center of Machu Picchu are over 50 tons.
A giant wall in Peru is proving that ancient history is a lie. These rocks weigh 50 tons and sit high on a cliffside. New laser maps show they are flatter than modern industrial granite. The people who supposedly built them only had copper and stone, but those tools leave marks that are not there.
People with rudimentary technologies were able to do that. It seems impossible.
The scans show smooth transitions that look like they were made with unknown power tools. This discovery is a huge deal for how we see the past. It is time to look at the evidence that has been hidden in plain sight. Scans reveal impossible precision. The biggest mystery is how these things were cut and moved up this mountain. High in the Peruvian Andes, nearly 2 miles above sea level, stand 6 colossal stones that were never supposed to exist. Each weighs around 50 tons. Each rises over 13 feet tall. Each one fits its neighbor so perfectly that even today you cannot slide a razor blade between them. For decades, historians called it remarkable. Engineers called it impossible. But in early 2025, everything changed. Ultra-high-resolution 3D laser scans examined these stones down to fractions of a millimeter. What they showed quietly broke the accepted story. Tool marks do not match any known ancient methods. Surface exactness is tighter than modern industrial granite cutting. Accuracy exists that should not be there even now. Ollantaytambo is not just an ancient site, it is a warning that the timeline is missing something huge. Every textbook says the same thing. The Inca built this place around 1440. They got these massive granite blocks from a mountain called Cachicata 4 miles away. They went across the Urubamba River Valley. Thousands of workers used stone hammers to shape the granite. They used wooden rollers to move the blocks. They used bronze chisels for finishing. They dragged 50-ton stones down one mountain and across a river. Then they went up another mountain using rope and muscle. The whole thing took maybe 30 to 40 years. Tour guides repeat this story every single day. They point to unfinished blocks at the spot. They show the ramps. They explain the organization of the labor force. It is clean and simple. It fits what people want to believe about ancient groups. The story goes that Emperor Pachacuti ordered the building of this royal estate. He commanded the workers. The Inca are known for their great skills. They moved thousands of workers through their labor system. Each community gave workers for state projects. The size of the work was massive, but the Inca had the manpower and the drive. They supposedly mapped out the site at Cachicata. Workers would spend months shaping each block at the source. They used harder river stones as hammers. Once shaped to rough sizes, the blocks were moved. The main theory says they built dirt ramps and used wooden rollers. They used thousands of workers pulling in teams. After crossing the valley, the blocks were dragged up to the building site. Then came the perfect fitting. Workers would place one stone and mark where it touched the stone below. They would remove it and grind down the high spots. They would replace it and repeat this hundreds of times until the fit was perfect. This explanation is in school papers and museums worldwide. It has been the story for over a century. Experts have built careers defending this timeline. Universities teach it as truth. But the physical evidence says otherwise. The technology found something else. These stones are granite measuring 6 to 7 on the hardness scale. This is very hard material like quartz. Testing confirmed they came from 4 miles away. That part is true, but everything else falls apart. The 3D scans showed something that should not be there. High-resolution images found 0 hammer marks and 0 scratches. There are no grinding patterns that stone or bronze tools leave behind. Instead, smooth flowing surface changes suggest something completely different was used. The marks do not match anything from the old world. When granite is shaped with simple tools, it leaves a mark. Stone hammers create cracks and break patterns. Bronze chisels leave lines. Grinding stones produce scratches. These are marks of the shaping process. They should be everywhere on these blocks. They are not there. The scanning team used gear that can see changes down to tiny levels. They mapped every inch of the surfaces. What they found were smooth changes that look almost melted or molded. Some surfaces show what researchers call a glassy finish at a tiny level. At the site itself, things are even stranger. Those 6 red granite stones are flawless. They have mirror-smooth surfaces. The joints are impossible to explain. Right next to them are crude and rough-cut stones. They look like they came from a completely different group of people. The difference is so big it is almost funny. The high-tech work shows no tool marks. The crude additions show exactly what copper and stone tools would make. This is not subtle. Once it is seen, it cannot be ignored. Look at the wall sections to the left and right of the main stones. These are clearly later additions. The stones are smaller and shaped poorly. They are fitted together with big gaps. Chisel marks are easy to see. One can see where workers tried to match the perfect fit of the original wall and failed. These sections look exactly like what is expected from people with copper and Stone Age tech. Now look back at the 6 main stones. It is like comparing a hand-drawn sketch to a laser-cut wall. The quality gap is a deep hole that suggests different tools or different builders separated by a lot of time. To be honest, things get even crazier when one looks at how these stones actually got there. Physics of moving giant stones. Let us talk about the math. Each main stone weighs 50 tons. The quarry sits at 10,500 feet. Ollantaytambo sits at 9,160 feet. 4 miles separate them. But the actual path is very hard. It goes down 1,340 feet of steep mountain slope. It goes across the Urubamba River. It cuts through a gap and back up 1,340 feet to the building site. Modern engineers did the math using wooden rollers and rope on flat ground. Over 1,500 workers would be needed just to move it. On a 30-degree slope, the number goes up. More than 3,000 workers would be needed to hold the weight. They would have to keep the stone from sliding back and harming everyone below. This assumes perfect conditions and no mistakes, but the problems go deeper than just the number of people. Think about the planning. 3,000 people pulling ropes means 3,000 ropes on the block. Where are they attached? How is the weight spread out? If one rope snaps, the whole thing falls. The ground makes this even worse. The path is not a gentle slope. It is steep and rocky. During the rainy season, the ground becomes mud. Wooden rollers would sink, ropes would get slippery. Then there is the river. The Urubamba is a powerful river. The current is strong all year. During the wet season, it is very dangerous. How does a 50-ton block get across? The old story says they built a bridge or used a shallow spot, but a bridge that can hold 50 tons would be a huge project. One mistake and the block is lost in the river. This happened dozens of times. Each crossing would be a nightmare. Moving a 50-ton granite block today takes special trailers and big cranes. It takes months of planning and millions in gear. Professional teams with modern tools are very careful. The ancient people supposedly did this with rope and wood. They hit a level of exactness that beats modern standards. The math does not work out. The physics do not work. The timeline is broken. The site at Quechicata is 4 miles away. It shows a lot of info. There are partially finished blocks all over the mountain. Some are still part of the mountain. Others are shaped but left behind. Tour guides say this proves the Inca were working, but the abandoned blocks show simple tool marks. One can see where workers used stone hammers. These blocks look like what is expected from old methods. But here's the problem. None of these left behind blocks match the quality of the wall. The perfect fit is not there. The smooth surface is not there. The high-tech shape is not there. It is like finding a rough piece of wood and saying it proves the builder could make a fine chair. The mountain is very steep. Just getting to the rocks is hard. Managing the waste rock would be a constant job, and then the stone has to go down the mountain without crushing people. The truth is that this mountain holds secrets that have been missing for years. Secret history hidden underground. A geologist looked at the wear on the stones. The way crystals break down in the mountain air can be measured. The wear on these granite surfaces suggests they have been there for at least 2,300 to 2,800 years. That puts the building between 500 years before the Common Era and 200 years before the Common Era. That is over 1,500 years before the Inca lived. The wear tells another story too. All 6 main stones show the same patterns. They were placed at the same time. The crude work around them shows much less wear. It was added much later. An older group built the core. Later groups tried to fix it or add to it. This is a solid way to date things. Granite has crystals that break down at a steady rate. The weather there is mostly the same every year. One can measure how deep the breakdown goes. The stones could be even older, but they cannot be younger than what the wear shows. This creates a big problem for the Inca story. There is also water damage that is hard to explain. Some of the lower work has patterns from a lot of water. This is not from rain, it is from big floods. The river is far below the temple now. The river could not reach the wall today. But climate data shows the area was different in the past. There were times of huge rain and floods. The erosion shows the stones were there during those ancient times. Ground radar from late 2024 found things under the temple. Buried walls go down at least 15 feet. These features are older than the stones on top. The site has been used for thousands of years. What is seen today is just the top layer of something very old. The radar data showed straight lines and right angles. These are not natural. Something built a structure deep under the ground. It is not clear if these are rooms or just foundations. The team needs more permits to dig, but the meaning is big. If there are walls 15 feet down, they were built a long time ago. They were buried by dirt over a long time. Multiple groups building on the same spot is normal, but each layer gets older. If the top stones are from 500 years before the Common Era, how old is the stuff under them? Hands down, the most shocking part is how the stones actually touch each other. Mystery of the ancient knobs. The scans showed the joints stay even within 0.02 millimeters. A human hair is 0.07 millimeters thick. They hit a goal that is thinner than a hair across giant stones. To understand how wild this is, think about the work. One has a 50-ton block of granite. One needs to make one side so flat that it stays even across 10 feet. Any bump cannot be bigger than a thin card. Modern shops use granite plates for perfect flat work. They are made with computers and lasers. Getting this flat over large areas is hard even now. The builders did this on all sides of multiple 50-ton blocks. Then they had to put them together. They had to align them in 3 ways. The whole wall had to be straight. Think about the challenge. One has 2 flat surfaces. Now one has to set a 50-ton rock on top of another. One cannot see the joint while moving the rock. One cannot reach under to feel it. There is only one chance to set it right. Moving 50 tons again is not easy, yet they did it perfectly. The joints are perfect. The walls have stood for hundreds of years. Several stones have a mirror shine. Microscopic study found no marks from grinding. Grinding leaves tiny scratches. These surfaces are smooth at a molecular level. This is like modern chemical work. The shine is very confusing. Getting this on granite takes a lot of time and very fine tools. The time would be huge. Modern stone pros use power tools and take hours for a small spot. These ancient builders did it on huge stones, and they did it without leaving scratch patterns. Under a microscope, polished granite should show marks from the polish. These stones do not. Some stories say there were plants that could soften stone like clay. Could a high-tech group have lived in the mountains thousands of years ago? Tell what is thought in the comments. Like and subscribe to help find the truth about history.